Yo, could you imagine thinking your mother-in-law and you are like mad cool, but whole time she's the reason why you can't have kids? This story is from this girl that's from Ghana. So long story short, she meets this man, like they instantly click. That's like her soulmate and vice versa. And they have an amazing relationship and like their parents get along and it's great. Eventually he pops the question, they get engaged, they get married, and everything is great. Until they start trying to have kids and they can't. And his mom is pressuring her, like begging for grandkids. She's constantly asking, like, when are you guys going to give me grandkids? I want my grandkids. And this would make her feel really bad because it's like they're trying and she can't, like, it's just not happening. And after a couple years had passed, at that point, like, she's like, mother-in-law is low-key shaming her, but still like showing support, if you know what I mean. For example, one time they were having like a little get together and stuff and everybody was drinking, not heavy, but like drinking. And one of the guests that was there called their babysitter to check up on their kids. Mother-in-law made a joke towards her like, hey, go call your kids. Oh, wait. And this made her a little upset, but mother-in-law just like gaslit her saying like, oh no, it was just a joke. Like I didn't really mean it like that. Anyways, it'd be little things like that. But she was still supportive and like loved them, loved their marriage. It wasn't until one day she was talking to somebody about it, like venting basically, and she was like, yo, like we're trying our best. The doctors say that there's nothing wrong, we just can't have kids. And so her friend was like, hey, I know somebody that could like check you out, see what's really wrong, right? She's like, okay, whatever, I'll try it. So she goes with this friend to that person's house. The person basically did like a cleansing and like a little tiny ritual or whatever, and then the person just stops and goes, I see what's going on here. She's like, hey, what's going on? Why can't I have kids? He goes, your mother-in-law. I'm getting something about your mother-in-law. And it's dark, and it's like a dark thing. He starts asking her questions like, does your mother-in-law do magic? And she's like, no, I don't think my mother-in-law's into that. She's a Christian. And he's like, that doesn't mean anything. You'd be surprised how many Christians out here are doing witchcraft. He continues what he was doing, and then he tells her, like, yeah, your mother-in-law definitely is doing black magic on you. She's like, no way, my mother-in-law is not into that. And he's like, okay, but this is what I'm going to need you to do. When you go home tonight, in the tree that's all the way in the back of your house to the right, look under that tree. Dig, do whatever you need to do. That's where she buried the spell. She's like, no way, bro. And she goes home. She goes to that tree. She digs, and guess what she finds, y'all? It was a picture of her with some beads around it and some herbs buried under that tree. Now, before I continue with part 2, make sure you guys are subscribed to my YouTube channel. Make sure you guys are following me on Instagram. Just click the little Instagram icon in my bio and it's going to send you to both. Because I'm not posting another episode of the podcast until you guys blow up the first one. Now back to the story. So she finds this thing under the tree, right? She's like, are you freaking kidding me? This lady has been shaming me for not being able to have kids for the past couple years. And the whole time she was the reason why, like, you're the reason why I can't have kids. And so she immediately goes to her husband about it. And she shows her husband the thing that she found under the tree. And she didn't have to explain much to him because, like, he knew that she was going to that guy. Because he also wanted a kid too. So he wanted to know, like, why. And so when she showed her husband was in disbelief. But he wasn't shocked. And so she questioned him like, why do you not seem like you're shocked? And he basically tells her like, my mom used to do black magic when I was younger, but I thought she put that life behind her and became a Christian. So he was under the impression that she was completely saved and she left all of that behind. She's like, but regardless, why would she do this to me? She wants grandkids. We want kids. Why hold you from having kids? Because, like, she's not only hurting me, she's hurting you too because you can't have kids. He's like, I'm just as confused as you. So let's invite her over tomorrow and we'll confront her about it. So tomorrow comes, he calls his mom. He's like, hey, Ma, I need you to come by the house. She comes to the house and they all sit down. And she takes the stuff that she got from under the tree and just throws it on the table in front of mother-in-law. And immediately her face flushed. And y'all want to know what that lady tried to do? That lady immediately got up and said, hey, my son, your wife is doing magic. Why does she have this? And the husband is kind of in a disbelief because he's never seen his mom act like this before. Like, she's such a nice lady. And so he goes, Why would she be doing magic on herself? This is her picture. We already know it was you. That's why we wanted to talk to you. And at this point, there's no denying it. And she could tell that the son is like really disappointed in her right now. And of course, she starts the waterworks. She is crying at this point, hoping that the tears, I guess, will like make him feel guilty. But it actually did the exact opposite, because at this point, he's pissed off. He's not getting answers. She's not saying anything. You're just here crying. And so he tells her to get out. The wife is shocked, but she's also glad that he's like sticking up for her and he's not falling for the little, manipulation. And she's like, oh, you're gonna kick out your own mother? He's like, yes. This thing has been paining us. You've seen how bad we're trying to have kids. I have cried to you about this, and the whole time it was your fault. Get out of my house, and I don't ever want to speak to you again. At this point, the real tears started to come in. Now she's crying for real. And he was dead serious. He called his brother to come get her, to come pick her up because she wouldn't leave. He told his brother what happened. He's also shocked. He had to come and actually remove her from their house. Now, before I continue with the story, make sure you guys are following me on Instagram and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Go to the Instagram icon in my bio and it's going to send you to both. On YouTube, you can see the latest podcast that I drop. It's an hour long. And on Instagram, once I reach 20K, I'm doing a giveaway. Now back to the story. So all of this happens and the husband is obviously hurt because this has affected him too. Yes. Anyways, he's really upset about it. And at this point, his mom is like blowing up his phone. And he doesn't want to block her. He's really upset, but he doesn't really want to block her. But he's not answering either because he needs time. So the next day, brother that picked her up came back to the house to get a little more details on what happened. And so they explained to him the entire story because he knew about their struggle. And he's also like, wow, I really thought she left that life behind because she's a whole Christian now. The wife is like, I want to go back to that guy to find out how I can reverse it. Or just end the curse, period. Husband agrees, but he still doesn't want to speak to his mom. Later that day, mom finds out that brother was at the house. And she wasn't very happy about it. For some reason, this made her really upset. So later that day, she shows up to their house. Not only did she show up to their house, she showed up cursing the wife out. Saying the wife is talking shit about her, making everybody turn against her, making everybody think she's a horrible person. She had a reason why she did what she did. And so the husband is like, so why did you do what you did? And she goes, because she thinks she can come into your life and take you away from me. Ever since you got with her, you didn't need me for anything. I have to reach out to you. You don't even come to my house to pick up food anymore because you prefer her cooking over mine. And she was like, and so yeah, I did it because since she can provide you everything, I made sure there's one thing she couldn't provide you with. And the husband is in total shock. He's staring at his mother in utter disbelief. He's like, have you been like this whole time? And so he doesn't even say anything to her anymore. He was like, you're done disrespecting my wife and you need to go. He calls brother all over again to come pick her up. He didn't even know that she was there. And once he heard everything that she came and that she did, he's like, bro, what are you doing? And he comes, he picks her up. And long story short, the wife went back to the guy. They fixed everything. They moved away from the mom. And they now have 4 kids together. So the whole time, mom was really just jealous because she was a good wife. Damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? He's like, so you mean to tell me this whole time I wasn't crazy? My parents made me feel like I was crazy, but I had a twin brother this whole time? Grandma's like, yeah, your parents didn't tell you? He's like, no, they never told me. Grandma's like, that's weird, but hey, now you know. Now before I continue with the story, make sure you guys are subscribed to my YouTube channel. I have so much exciting things planned on there. Lots and lots of content. So click that Instagram icon in my bio, go follow me on Instagram, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Now back to the story. So immediately, he goes to confront his parents. There's always that one strand of hair. And he's like, Grandma just told me that I had a whole twin brother that didn't make it. What's up with that? Why didn't y'all ever tell me? His parents are basically like, why would she tell you that? He's like, I don't know, but I'm asking you guys, why didn't y'all tell me when I went my whole life feeling like I was crazy? And when I said something to you guys about it, y'all didn't take me serious. And so they're like, oh, it was just really painful for us. We just never really wanted to talk about it. And they basically tried to end the conversation there. They just tried to fade him. And so he's like, bullshit. Tell me the truth. And they're telling him bro, just drop it. And he's like, no, I don't want to drop it. Let me know what's up. They're like, you really want to know what's up? He's like, yes, please. That's what I'm asking for. And they're like, all right then. You unalived your twin brother. He's like, what? They're like, yeah, when y'all was in the tummy, you unalived him and only you came out alive. And when he came out, he wasn't alive. This made him so confused. But as confused as he was, he honestly didn't want to know anymore. He just walked away and he dropped it. He didn't ask his grandma anything. He didn't even ask his parents anything more. He just felt like guilty. And he said to me, for the rest of his life, he never actually questioned it again. Now, me personally, I think the parents were capping. I think that they didn't tell him what was really going on. But that's just me. Anyways, if you have your own stories that you want to submit, I'm going to say this again. Follow me on Instagram, DM me your story, but with a voice message. Do not DM me asking me if you can tell a story. Yes, you can. Do you even know that you can be poked with something, like pricked with something, and then get possessed after? Scary story time. So there's this girl and she's from Kenya. When you're in Kenya as a kid, you know that you can see things like cannibals, spirits, and witches and stuff, like the usual. They are basically taught the same thing that I told you guys I was taught growing up in Haiti. Like, don't answer to your name being called. Do not open the door if no one's outside the door. Anyways, when she was younger, she used to go visit her hometown with her mom, her grandma, and her siblings. And it was always so beautiful and she always had so much fun. And often her mom would leave her with her grandma so she can go catch up with some of her people. Their family owned a house with like tons of land and like tons of people that lives nearby. So their grandma used to always let them play in the field. And she's 7 at this time. And as they were playing on the field, there was always this old woman just staring at them, looking very much angry. And so one day they were playing in the fields and there she was, staring at them looking angry. Her being a 7-year-old, she smiled and waved at the old lady. And when she did that, it's like she made that lady even angrier, like real angry, to the point where she tossed something into the field. Now, thank God that grandma noticed that. And grandma immediately told them, don't go over there and don't touch that. Stay away from it. But y'all know what they did? They went over there anyway. When they got over there, they noticed that the thing that she tossed was a really big bone. And she said it was the biggest bone she'd ever seen before. Almost like a leg. So they just assumed that it was like an animal and they walked away from it. Anyway, the next day they went to the supermarket with their grandma. She's sleepy, y'all, so I gotta give her cuddles. And as they're at the supermarket, guess who they run into? That same lady, except this time, she doesn't look angry. If anything, she looks like she's in a great mood. And so her 7-year-old self took that as an opportunity to try to apologize to the lady because she's always so angry. Now that they caught her in a good mood, they want to apologize. So she apologizes for both her and her brother. And the lady's like, oh, don't worry about it. That's okay. Can we hug it out? And her 7-year-old self knows better. And so she is about to say no. But before she even got the chance to say no, the lady hugs her anyway. And when that lady hugged her, she instantly felt something poke her in her back, like a toothpick or something. For those of you that might not know, but in Kenya and also many other cultures, if somebody puts a toothpick that pokes you in your back, it's related to witchcraft. So after she pokes her, she starts to wave her hand at her in like a ritual way. And as she's doing this, that's when grandma notices. And when grandma caught on to what was happening, she looked like she was about to faint. So immediately, grandma came, snatched her, and said, we have to go. And so they start to walk back home. And the sun had also started to set. On the way back home, grandma is telling them, like, we have to get home now. There are very messed up bad people that messes with bad things around here. And you guys cannot be playing around like that. These people are not to be messed with. And on the walk back home, her back is killing her. Like, it was so sore. On top of that, she started to see people appearing on her walk home. And those people barely had clothes on and they looked like they were starving, like hungry. And they just were staring at her the entire time. But she was more so focused on the pain that was in her back. So they get home, right? She started to notice that weird things started happening. Like, she's noticing things out of her peripheral, like shadows and things like that. She's constantly seeing shadows moving in the corner of her eyes. And then she started to get aggressive, like really aggressive. Like, she started to try to fight everybody. And at this point, the pain in her back is unbearable. She was kicking and screaming, telling everybody to leave her alone. She was telling her grandma to die. She told everybody that Satan was coming for them. At this point, it's not really her anymore. At this point, she's like possessed. And her saying those things is kind of terrifying, especially because she's a 7-year-old. But while all of this is happening, y'all, when she woke up and they were telling her that all of this was happening, she didn't remember a thing. All she remembers was being in a dark room, and there was something that was calling over to her, telling her, come with me. Come with me. And so all the kicking and screaming and cursing, she doesn't remember any of that. So grandma kind of put 2 and 2 together. She's saying her back hurts and she's acting very unusual. So grandma starts checking her back and she finds the little toothpick and she removes it. And it was at this point that she started to get back to normal. Like it was like a huge relief. And grandma, they're Muslims, so grandma started praying over her with the Quran. I hope I said that right. Please don't crucify me. Anyways, she felt so much better. I'll fast forward to the next day. I told you guys they're in Kenya, and so usually the kids go to fetch water. So it was her and about 5 or 6 other kids that were about to go and fetch water for their families. So they got the water, and on their way back, they see the cannibals start to appear. And it's like they're multiplying. More and more of them start to appear. And they were getting closer and closer to the kids. And one woman tried to grab one of the kids. But out of nowhere came a horse and kicked her out the way, which gave the kids a chance to run. Now, as they're running away, the horse didn't make it because the cannibals actually ended up eating that horse. So when she got home, she told her grandma everything that just happened. Grandma was like, enough is enough. Immediately, she calls her daughter, which is her mom, and she told them like they need to go back to the US, like they need to leave. And so they make a plan to take the kids back, and they didn't tell anybody. Now, if you watch my stories, I told y'all it's not just a Haiti thing. Well, now I know it's not just a thing in Haiti, but if you're traveling, you don't tell anybody because they will literally try to unalive you out of pure jealousy that you're leaving to go to the US. And so the entire time leading up to them leaving, they are praying every day, including her. And they told no one. And so thank goodness they ended up leaving. They went to the US and everything ended up being fine. This is a story that she remembers like that. Well, you can't forget that. If you have your own story that you would like for me to share on my page, make sure you follow me on Instagram and send me the story. I prefer voice message. Depending on how good the story is, I will tell it on my page. Also, don't forget to click the link in my bio and get my merch. It's a protection shirt with Psalm 91 verse 15 on it. And thank you to the ones that have been purchasing a shirt. I love you guys so much and have something so special coming for y'all. I love you guys. Stop sleeping with married men. Scary story time. And y'all, sit down and strap in. This is another one of my dad's stories, and it gets real. By now, y'all should know a lot of crazy things have happened to my dad. But y'all should also know that a lot of those crazy things happened to him because he was born with a gift. When he was born with this thing called coif. That is, when you're born and your umbilical cord was wrapped around your neck. And it is believed that anybody that's born like that is born with a gift. So when my grandma gave birth to him, she knew, and she told him that his entire life. But he always took it with a grain of salt. Like, he heard her say it all the time, but it was just like, It wasn't until this happened to him that he actually believed. Even though he had situations where he would see things that other people couldn't see, he would hear things where other people couldn't see. It took this story to convince him. Anyways, he had this girlfriend at the time, right? And he would go to her house all the time on a schedule. He would go from 6 p.m. and leave around like maybe 9:30, 10. But mind y'all, by that time, he's grown. Like, he's in his 20s. And he was always over there just to, hang out with his girl. And one day he goes to his girl's house as usual. They're hanging out. The house his girlfriend lived at was a 2-story family home. She lived upstairs, and the upstairs part had a balcony. And they would sit there and hang out. Now, right next to that house, there is an abandoned house. It was so abandoned that the grass grew so tall. Like, it was really tall. Almost as tall as him. So you can imagine how tall the grass was. So anyways, one night they're sitting there hanging out. And my dad says as he's sitting there, he starts to feel uncomfortable. He's not sure why he's feeling uncomfortable, but he just, something feels wrong. Something just is not right. And he starts to like fidget in his chair because his intuition is telling him something is wrong. And his girl asks him like, are you okay? He's like, no, like something's wrong. Now mind you, the next door house that I told you about, it was mostly land. There was a house there, but it was mostly land. And it was a really huge land. So the grass was a lot. Imagine cornfield. And so as he's sitting there, he starts to hear the grass moving, like something is moving through the grass. And he tells his girl, do you hear that? And his girl's like, hear what? Do you hear the grass? Like there's something, I hear something moving through it. And his girlfriend's like, no, I don't hear anything. And as he's like asking his girl, does she hear it? It's getting louder and louder. So he gets up from his chair to overlook the land to see what's going on, like what's making all that noise. And as he's standing there on the balcony and he's overlooking the land, he sees something moving through the grass, like the grass is moving as if something is running through it. And he tells his girl, look, I knew there was something wrong. Look, do you see that? And she gets up and she looks. She's like, I don't see anything. And he's like, what do you mean you don't see anything? There's something in the thing and it's moving. Like the grass is moving all over the place. There's something running through it. And at this point, his girl starts getting scared because she does not see anything. And my dad starts to get a little frustrated because now he thinks that she's playing a joke on him. Because you can clearly see the grass, like there's something running through the grass. And she keeps saying she don't see it. How can you not see that? And at this point, he's asking her and he's getting frustrated and he can see the fear in her eyes because she honestly does not see anything. And he's like, you know what? I don't got to deal with this tonight. I'm going home. And his girl's like, no, you don't have to go. Don't leave. Let's just go inside. Forget all of this. Let's just go inside and we'll just relax and forget about it. Of course, that didn't happen, but he agreed. They go inside, they sit, and they start to talk about it. And at this point, he's getting kind of mad because he's like, why are you taking me as a joke? Like, just tell me you saw the thing. And she's telling him, like, I swear to you, I did not see or hear anything. And as they're talking about it, there is this loud scream downstairs. And the person that screams is going off. Not like normal cursing going off. Of course, they're cursing, but it's like screaming at the top of their lungs, like running through the place. You can hear the person run outside and is screaming. And at this point, you can hear other people start to gather around. And my dad's girlfriend is terrified because of what just happened. And now this is going on. And my dad looks at her like, shush, don't say anything. That is none of our business. Until one of the girls that lives downstairs runs up the stairs, comes to their door and starts knocking. She's knocking and knocking. She's like, please, we need help. We need help. Can somebody please help us? She's knocking and knocking. She's like, please, we need help. We need help. Can somebody please help us? And my dad's looking at his girlfriend like, do not respond. Don't say anything. And his girlfriend does not know what to do with herself. She's so scared. And so the girl says her name. She says, this is so-and-so from downstairs. And it's a good friend of theirs, like the neighbor. Now, my dad told my girlfriend not to answer because it could have been anything. Like, don't answer the door to, nothing you don't know about. But when the girl identified herself and they recognize her voice and they know that it's her, my dad's like, okay, I'll go to the door. So he slightly opened the door and the girl's like, please, Prince, I need your help. I need your help. Prince is my dad's artist name. He was really popular in like the late 90s, early 2000s when it came to rap in Haiti. Anyway, she's like, Prince, please, we need your help. We need a man downstairs. It's all us. It's all girls. We need someone downstairs to help us. Now, before I go on with the story, let me give you a little backstory. The girl downstairs that's screaming, she is in her 20s. However, her boyfriend, who is married and that she knew about, is in his 60s. She was really only with him because he was giving her money. She knew that he had a wife and the wife lived out here in the US. Wife and kids and everything. She was very well aware, but she didn't care. She ends up getting pregnant and has the guy's baby, the old guy. Now, when she got pregnant, the old guy moved her into this apartment that she's in right now, which is downstairs from my dad's girlfriend's house. The baby is born and everything. Baby was a newborn. However, his wife found out that he has a girlfriend in Haiti and she just had a baby for him. And she wasn't very happy about it. So if you're Haitian, you know how this goes. She sent money to Haiti to have them send a zombie to the girl to unalive the girl and the baby. So now that's the situation that we're in. What my dad heard in the grass, the land, was the zombie coming through. And now the zombie got her. She is in her. It's not even her anymore. It's the zombie. And now she's trying to unalive her baby. That's what all the screaming is about. It's all girls down there and everyone is trying to hold her back from harming her baby. Now back to the story. So the girl's like, Prince, please help us. We're all girls down there and it's too much for us to handle. We cannot handle it. So my dad let his good heart and ego get the best of him. And he's like, well, I am the only guy here right now. And if they need my help, like, what would I look like if I didn't really help them? Although he didn't really know what he was walking himself into. He thought that maybe they just needed a man to, stop a fight or something. So he goes downstairs and he realizes what's going on because she is acting crazy. Like, she is continuously trying to attack her baby and they're trying to keep her away from the baby. And this is all happening outside, by the way. They're not inside the house anymore. Imagine exorcism type possessed. That's how she was. So my dad says he gets downstairs and it's just a whole bunch of girls just going based off of emotions. Of course, they're scared, but they don't know what to do. And they just they're confused. So he says, all right. So he takes the girl and he is holding her back because the other girls weren't strong enough to hold her back for real. And as he's holding her back, he tells them, where is the baby father? They tell him, well, he works overnight. And he goes, I don't care if he works overnight. Somebody call him and get him here now. So that's what they did. They called him and he got there as fast as he could. Now he's freaking out. This is an old man. He's kind of caught up on what's going on. Clearly that's not her. And clearly if you Haitian, you already know that's a zombie. That ain't her. You don't need no explanation for that. So he picks up his phone and he calls a mumble that he knows. Now a mumble is a voodoo priestess. So he calls the mumble. He's like begging her. He's like, the mother of my child, somebody sent her a zombie and she's trying to attack my baby. I need your help. And she lived kind of far. So he's like, I'll come pick you up if you need to. I know it's really late, but I really need to come get you. And she says, don't worry. I'm actually in the area. So I'll be there in about 10 to 15. Now that he's realizing the severity of the situation, he's like, oh my God. And my grandma asked him, what did you do when you saw the chicken? And my dad told her the chickens kept blocking me when I was trying to get into the house, so I kicked it. And when my grandma heard that, she was like, ooh, this ass whooping I'm about to give you. And my dad tells me, y'all, he got an ass whooping of his life that day. Oh, she tore his ass up. And y'all, guess who had to come and save him? That same neighbor that complained about him. He heard everything that was going on and he came in the house and saved my dad from my grandma. He came like, okay, that's enough. And he took my dad outside away from my grandma. And my grandma is putting on a show. My grandma is like, since you want to take him outside, keep him there. He ain't coming back in my house. Not being disrespectful to people. He's not coming back in my house. And now he's talking to my dad like, it's okay, calm down. Don't say anything. She's just mad right now. Just let her cool off. And my dad is like, I'm looking at this man as a savior. He just saved me from the ass whooping of my life. So now I feel like I owe him my life. So he goes inside and he speaks to my grandma, and then he comes back out and he tells my dad, don't worry, you can go back in right now. She's not gonna whoop you anymore. She's not, everything's good. I spoke to her. She's fine. She's calm. So y'all remember after y'all got an ass whooping what the attitude was like. So my dad is like, I hate everything right now. Like, I hate everything. I go home. I go inside. It's true, she didn't do anything to me anymore, but I am furious. I'm mad at everybody. I'm mad at the world. And so then my grandma cooks my dad his favorite food and gives it to him. And she sits next to him. And she goes, there are rules for a reason. There's a reason why you're not supposed to be walking at night in this town. And my dad not even trying to hear her right now. He's so mad at her. So she tells him, I really didn't want to have to do that. But in order to protect you, I had to. So then she tells him what the guy told her. And now knowing what my dad told her happened with the chickens, my grandma being my grandma, she knows about all of this stuff. Turns out the guy is a lugao. And this situation basically confirmed all the rumors. He had turned into a chicken, and all the chicks are other lugaos that work with him that are out on the streets at night waiting for their next victim. And he saw my dad, and he didn't really care that he knew who my dad was. You know that this boy lives right next to you, but you still tried to get him because remember, they tried to block him. And my grandma goes, if I didn't do what I did, we would have been in a lot of trouble. I'm not saying they would have got you, but they would have tried to a lot, and I would have had to do a lot of things that I didn't want to do. We've been here for years. We've minded our business for a very long time. We've never been in any trouble, and I didn't want to start now. So that ass whooping was a show so that this guy didn't feel like he told my grandma what happened. And my grandma didn't do anything about it. She just let her son
do whatever. And if you know Haitian people, especially Haitian people that do voodoo, are very spiteful. So a lot of black magic would have started going around. But now that she did what she did, and he had to be the one to save her, it's all good. He himself, he felt bad after he heard my dad get that ass whooping. So once my grandma sat him down and explained to him, afterwards he was like, oh, okay, I get it. He wasn't mad at my grandma anymore. He even was like, okay, I think they hugged, they made up, and that's the end of the story. So, moral of this story is, don't be a badass little kid like my dad, because rules are there for a reason, and this definitely could have turned real ugly.
I'm gonna give y'all a quick little story time before I go to bed. I apologize in advance if I'm whispering, but baby girl's asleep. So when I was in Haiti, after a full day of playing with my friends, nighttime, what we would do is we would sit around under the full moon and tell each other stories, including scary stories. And we were all from different families, from different places. So there was tons of stories going around. And there was this one particular friend. She started telling stories of how her family is into voodoo, and that when she was born, she was buried alive for 3 days and 3 nights. And yes, that's actually a thing. Usually when you're born into families that where voodoo is their culture, it's like a protection thing for the baby. Anyways, the baby's born, you do some kind of ritual on the baby, and you bury the baby alive for 3 days and 3 nights. And yes, the baby survives. It was growing up for her. Lots of weird things always happened to her, obviously. Like, she would get whooped at night by spirits if she did something bad. She would encounter zombies all the time. But out of all these things, in my opinion, the worst thing about them all is the fact that she told me that her family married her off to a Loa. So obviously that's something that is stuck with her for the rest of her life. And if she ever don't want any part of it, it's gonna take a lot of work, a lot of fasting, a lot to get rid of that. Anyways, so her family is preparing her and everything as she grows up, and they always told her that she can't have boyfriends, and she may not even be able to get married in the future, but if she does, she has to ask the Loa for permission. And whoever that might propose to her, she has to present him to the Loa, and the Loa has to approve. She says that she's never alone. The Loa and a lot of other things follows her everywhere she goes. Now imagine hearing that at a young age on a full night at nighttime with no electricity outside. Us kids were terrified, and it's safe to say that we didn't really play with her as much anymore. Now, here's the thing. It's one thing to not like your own twin sister, but it's another when you try to take her out your whole lives. Scary story time. This story comes from this Haitian girl, and she's a twin. Let's call her Maria. So Maria's parents had been trying to conceive for the absolute longest, and it took years, but they finally did it. They were pregnant. They were pregnant with Maria. They are ecstatic. They're about to have a baby. They can finally start their family. Until, right, that reference was for you. But anyway, the pregnancy is hard. It is terrible. She is sick the entire 9 months, bed rest sick. She couldn't keep anything down. It was just bad. She was in a lot of pain. It was a very, very hard pregnancy. Finally, the day comes, Maria decided that she wanted to come out. So they go to the hospital, they do the usual. After hours and hours of labor, she finally gives birth to Maria. She comes out and she's this beautiful, beautiful little girl. They are happy, and all the pain that she went through seems like it was worth it. Until Maria's mom starts screaming in pain, and she says, I think I'm gonna give birth to something else. And indeed she did. Another baby came out. Now, this was technology back in the day, so maybe they didn't get to catch Maria's twin, but it was always weird how there were almost no signs that she had a twin and there was 2 babies in there. Anyway, it happened. The second baby came out. Let's call her Sophia. The family is even more happy. It seems like this is a blessing in disguise. They were trying to have kids for years and years, and now they have 2. What could go wrong, right? They go home and everything's normal, but as the babies were growing up, they realized that Maria was a normal child, but Sophia seems a bit odd, a bit aggressive. And it just got worse over time, that eventually they even had to separate them. They couldn't even sleep together in the same crib because Sophia would always be hurting Maria. In one instance, she took a clump of her hair out. Maria was constantly waking up with scratches from Sophia. You guys get the point. Now let's fast forward until they're about 13 years old. This is when it's starting to show that Sophia actually hates Maria. And it's not just sibling beef. So they're about 13 years old now, and there's this boy in their class that Sophia likes. And he was kind of popular, and like all the girls wanted that little boy. Maria thought he was cute, but she just wasn't like fiending over him like all the other girls were. So one day while they were outside at recess, keep in mind that they're identical twins, the little boy comes up to Maria. He says to her, "Hey, I heard that you like me and I like you too. So let's be boyfriend and girlfriend." Now, Sophia wasn't too far, and she heard this, and she was not happy. Like, she was furious, and she walked away angrily. Now, Maria didn't notice this because the little boy's talking to her. Maria says to him, "Oh, thanks, but I don't want a boyfriend, and I don't really like you like that. I think you're cute, but I don't really like you like that." The little boy goes, "Oh, our friend told me that you told her that you like me and I like you too." And Maria knows that Sophia likes him, and it clicks. She says to him, "Oh, I'm Maria." The little boy goes, "Oh, I thought you were Sophia." So it really was just a big misunderstanding. So Maria's happy to hear that he likes Sophia back. She's like, "Oh my gosh, I have to go find Sophia and tell her." So she runs around and she finds Sophia. She's like, "Oh my gosh, Sophia, you are not gonna believe this." And Sophia, thinking that she's about to tell her that they're boyfriend and girlfriend now, didn't even let her finish and hit her on the head with a rock, y'all. A rock. She went, found a rock, waited for Maria to hit her in the head. It was this whole thing. It was a mess. Sophia was angry. She was cursing at everybody. And the little boy witnessed all that. Then it was safe to say after that, he no longer liked Sophia. Now, she gets in big trouble for this. For some reason, in Sophia's head, this was all Maria's fault. It is always her fault. The parents try to play it off as if like Sophia was just mad. It was a misunderstanding. You know, you guys are starting to have hormones. But Maria wasn't having it. She's like, "This girl, my sister, has been attacking me since we were literally babies. And you guys keep making excuses for her. Now I'm like actually hurt. Like she could have killed me with that. And you guys are still making excuses for her." So she decided, as hard as it was going to be, she needed to cut her sister off. She takes no accountability for anything, and their parents excuse everything she does. Also, I forgot to add that from the moment, like from when Maria was really young, she kept having this reoccurring dream that Sophia killed her. This was a dream that she just kept having. So now with the dream on top of everything, she has had enough. Y'all, it didn't even stop there. Have you ever encountered a zombie? Well, my dad did. Scary story time. So, my dad used to work this job where he used to drive doctors around. Doctors that are from like the UK, the US, sometimes when things happen and doctors want to go and help. He worked for this company that is in charge of picking them up from the airport, taking them to hospitals, etc. And he used to work overnight from 4 p.m. to 7 a.m. Now, if you guys remember from my previous dad stories, his grandma's house is kind of like the hangout house. Not the house, like that whole block is like the hangout block. So he would get off of work, stop home, get some clothes, and go to the block, hang out, sleep, whatever, get ready for work at his grandma's house, and head to work when it's time. And this was like an everyday thing. Part of that block were a couple of guys that were cool with everybody, but also weren't really up to no good. They weren't really the kind of trustworthy guys that you can leave stuff around and think that it's still gonna be there. And they were very blunt about it. We all know those kinds of guys from our block. Now, the leader of that little gang group, he called himself Baka. If you know, you know. If you were cool with him, then you know you good. But if you're not really cool with him like that, he don't know you like that, he's gonna rob you. So him and my dad were really cool to the point where like they would joke around. If my dad would leave his motorcycle somewhere, he'll tell my dad like, "Listen, you better be lucky I like you. You my friend, because I'd have took that motorcycle." He had a certain amount of respect for my dad. It might seem like I'm giving a lot of details, but all of that is very important. So one day, my dad gets off of work as usual. He stops home, gets some clothes, and he's driving to his grandma's house. And as he's driving, he was maybe like 15-20 minutes away from his grandma's house. And he sees Baka. Baka just kind of like, "Oh, hey, Prince, what's up?" So my dad got out the car, dapped him up, hugged him and everything. My dad like, yo, what you doing all the way over here? And he like, man, I came here to handle some things, you feel me? And in my head, my dad's thinking like, you about to rob somebody. Anyway, they chop it up, they talk for a little bit. My dad gets back in the car and he goes to my grandma's house. As he's pulling up on the block is very quiet, like the energy is off. Something happened. As my dad is pulling up, everybody's looking at him and they seem like sad. So he gets there, he parks, and he gets out the car. And down the block, he's like way down the block, he sees like a group of people just there like talking. But the block is not like the fun block that it usually is. Something happened. So one of the guy that was part of Baka's little group comes up to my dad. Looking all sad, you know, they dapping each other up and stuff like that. And he starts talking about, you know, whatever. My dad really want to know what's going on. So he's like, bro, like in his head, he's like, I don't really care what you got going on, what you telling me about right now. So my dad asks him, like, what happened? Like, what's happening? What happened? He looks at my dad with the saddest eyes and tells my dad, Baka's dead, bro. Y'all, I fell asleep. My bad. But I also forgot to tell y'all, when my dad saw Baka and they chopped it up, Baka was like, you know, I'll be back. I'll be over there in like an hour or so. I'll see you when I come back. And so my dad left. Anyway, the guy tells my dad, Baka is dead. My dad's like, what? What are you talking about? And he tells my dad, yeah, bro, Baka passed away last night. My dad looks at him like, Cap, I just saw Baka and he said he's coming back. Like he'll be here in about an hour. My dad leaves him, goes to the next person and asks, what's going on? Because clearly he don't know what the fuck you talking about. So my dad goes to somebody else like, yo, what's happening? And the other person says the same thing, like, Baka died last night. My dad goes, Cap, and goes to the next person. Because at this point, my dad is in shock. There's no way in hell Baka is dead when he was just talking to Baka 15 minutes ago. At this point, my dad is going to like so many different people to try to find an answer, and they're all telling him the same thing. So now he's starting to get mad because that's not even funny. Why are y'all even doing that? And my dad is telling them like, y'all are lying and that's cap because I just saw Baka 15 minutes ago. And if you remember Jean-Raymond, who's also from the block from the previous stories, Jean-Raymond comes up to my dad like, yo, that's not even funny. Like, don't, you see these people, they're sad. That you telling them that you just saw them is not funny. So my dad is like, y'all telling me Baka's dead when I just saw him is not funny. So he walks all the way down the block where there was like a group of people talking about it. And when he gets there, that's when he realizes like, Baka really is dead. And my dad says till this day, he's not a person that gets scared of everything. And not saying that that scared him, but it definitely had an effect on him. Mostly because of the fact that he gave Baka a hug and everything. So it turns out Baka didn't die of any natural causes or anything. I think he probably stole from the wrong person and they got him because he was literally walking and then he was gone. So it was definitely voodoo related because he was perfectly healthy. He didn't get shot. He didn't get stabbed. So his family basically does their work. They go to a Bokal, which is a voodoo priest, to find out what happened to Baka. And that's when they found out that somebody did voodoo on him. And Baka didn't even know he was dead. Because like I said before, it's not like he got shot or stabbed or anything. He was literally walking and then he was gone. So him seeing my dad was just like him seeing my dad on the regular. Baka didn't even know he was dead. So his zombie was just walking around as if it was normal. And remember when I said before nobody believed my dad when he said that he just saw Baka 15 minutes ago? They ended up believing him once they found out that Baka's zombie was walking around. Because people close to Baka, the same thing ended up, there was a couple of people that the same thing ended up happening to. They spoke to Baka and everything. My dad and Baka weren't really close, but they were buddies. But if y'all know my dad is gifted and he sees things that not the regular eye could see. But also sometimes when people get voodoo done on them like that and they don't know that they're dead and they're going somewhere, they're actually going back to the person who did the voodoo on them. Their soul is unknowingly going back to that person so that they can be trapped. So yeah, moral of the story is you probably encountered a zombie once or twice and didn't even know.
Let me tell you why you shouldn't play with your shadow. Scary story time. So my godfather, he watches my TikToks a lot, and obviously he loved my content, and he's also Haitian. And he called me the other day and he was like, I have so many stories for you to tell your followers of things that happened to me when I was in Haiti, and this is one of them. So he said he was really young at the time, like he was a young boy. And one night, right before his bedtime, he was just playing around. And for some reason, he just started playing with his shadow, just dancing with his shadow. He was dancing and dancing and dancing, and he was having a great time. And finally, when it was time for him to go to bed, he went to bed. And this is when it starts. Have y'all ever heard of the Hat Man? The man in the hat that supposedly is in everybody's dream, right? When he was telling me this story, y'all, he didn't even know who the Hat Man was. And I had to tell him, I was like, yo, he was in your dream too? Anyways, he goes to sleep and he wakes up in the middle of the night. He said he was dreaming, but it wasn't a dream. Like like the way it felt, it was not a dream. He woke up, but it was not a dream. I don't know how to explain it. I hope that makes sense. Anyways, he wakes up and there's the Hat Man. The Hat Man walks into his room and just looks at him with this creepy smile. He is terrified, y'all. So then the Hat Man walks closer to him, and guess what he tells him? Come dance with me. Come dance with me. And as he's saying, come dance with me, he's backing up. He's like, come dance with me. Come dance with me. He's backing up, and as he backs up, he gets to the door, he stops. And all of a sudden, my godfather hears drums outside. Now, if you're Caribbean, it's not just like the regular drums, but like the tambour. And if you know tambour, tambour sounds like that was a terrible interpretation, but you get it. And it sounds like there is a party outside. And as soon as the drum starts going, the Hat Man starts dancing right there in front of him. And the dance that he was doing, my godfather said is so creepy. At this point, he's crying. Like, he's a young boy, and at this point, he is in tears, y'all. And the Hat Man it just keeps telling him, come dance with me. Come dance with me. Come dance with me. He's dancing and is telling him, come dance with me. He's dancing. It's like, and it's like a whole lot of people outside. You hear the people outside dancing and partying, kind of like a ritual, right? My godfather is screaming, crying. So then his mom, for some reason, she knew what was going on. I don't know how, but she knew what was going on. She came into that room, took him to her room. Now, obviously, she didn't see anything in the room. It was only my godfather that saw everything that was happening. Oh, but the story doesn't end there. So he goes to his mom's room, and of course he feels a little bit safer, because he's with his mom, so he goes back to sleep. Then he starts dreaming again, but this time the dream was a little different. He's with his mom, so he goes back to sleep. Then he starts dreaming again, but this time the dream was a little different. He starts dreaming that he's somewhere in his neighborhood home, right? And then he sees this group of people in all white. Everybody's dressed in all white. And then when he says this to me, he goes, this is why till this day I think all white parties are really some kind of ritual, bro, and people don't even know. But anyway, so everybody is in all white, and guess what? Same thing, except the Hat Man is not there. It's all different types of people. And then there's this lady, and it's the same thing. Drums, everybody's dancing, and he starts getting scared all over again, because now he's having a nightmare. And there's this lady that steps out, and the lady comes and says, come dance with us. Come on, come dance with us. Come dance with us. And he books it. And the lady, he vividly remembers the face of this lady, because obviously, it was terrifying for him in his dream. So he books it, he runs, whatever. He wakes up, it's the next day, it's fine. But it doesn't end there. The next day, while he's home, guess who comes in front of his house? The lady that he saw from the dream. The lady comes in front of his house where his mother was, and starts cursing at his mother, and starts cursing at him. And I mean, she's cursing. I mean, she's going. She is going, and she's cursing them out for no reason. And she's saying hurtful things that would piss you off, things that would make you want to punch somebody. But his mom says nothing. And his mom looks at him and says, do not respond. Do not say anything. She tells my godfather to get in the house, and he does, but she stays outside. And mind you, the lady is only getting madder because she's not getting a response. She's going in. Mind you, she was causing a scene. People are starting to gather around to figure out, what is this lady's problem? And finally, once she realizes that his mom knows what she's doing and she's not responding, she starts to pick up rocks and throwing it at the house. And all his mom did was look at her and say, I know you're here for my son, but you won't be getting him. And just gets in the house and says nothing else to her. And eventually, she leaves. Now, what happened was, they wanted her son. They wanted her son's soul. She knew that, but we don't know how she knew that. But then again, it's our elders. Like, there's certain things that they just know and that we don't. And my godfather almost says that, like, till this day, he wishes he asked his mother, like, how did you know? Now, I think the lesson in this story is that you don't always have to engage with everybody that tries to get on your nerves. When the enemy is trying you, you don't have to always engage, because sometimes that's what they want. They want you to respond. You ever heard the saying, soon as you get angry, you lose? Well, sometimes you lose just for even responding. She was looking for a response. Had his mom said, oh, bitch, who you talking to? Da, 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 da. That's it right there. That's all she needed. Now her son is gone. Had her son said something, that's all she needed. Now her son is gone. Not everybody that's trying you need to respond to. You understand what I mean? You really need to learn in this world, bro. This is an evil world, especially with like witchcraft and stuff. You need to know, bro. You need to understand that you don't have to engage in everything. Sometimes you have to know to just walk away, not because you're pussy, not because of any other reason, but for your own well-being. Your pride can get you killed. He told me a couple of other stories too, so with great lessons just like this one. Let me know if y'all want me to tell that story, and I'll make a story time. Imagine someone you called your mentor, your spiritual mentor, trying to attack you. I hope y'all got your popcorns ready, because this story submission is from none other than the amazing Black Cauldron. She personally submitted this story for me to tell you guys. Boy, it is a doozy, let me tell you. So go ahead and grab your Takis, your snacks, because scary story time. First off, I want to start off by saying I love her. I love her content. She was one of the first creators to put me on her YouTube channel and actually gave me credit and tagged me. I see my videos all the time on YouTube and no tags. She made sure to give me my credit, and I love that. Do you want to tell a story?
No.
So she had this person as like her mentor. That specific mentor, she does voodoo, but she was self-initiated into voodoo. And her mentor also tried to get her to do it too, but she did her research and she was like, I don't really want to part. She was really more so focused on her spiritual side. So a little long story short, the mentor ended up ghosting her. And you know, she was fine with that. However, even though she ghosted her, she was still spiritually monitoring her. Here's an example. So they had a mutual friend, right? For the purpose of this story, we're going to call the Black Cauldron our friend. And at the time, our friend had just started her lock journey. And y'all know when you first start your lock journey, it got the little ugly stage. And so she would wrap her hair up all the time. And so she's FaceTiming with this mutual friend. And the mutual friend is like, hey, take off your head wrap. I want to see your hair. She does so. And the friend is like, oh my gosh, you started your lock journey. And that's crazy because Mentor just asked me if you locked your hair. And our friend is like, that's weird. How could she have known that? I haven't spoke to her. Like, she ghosted me. So that's one of the examples of her, like, monitoring her, even though they're not speaking, which was later confirmed because she actually ended up being back cool with Mentor again. And Mentor basically ended up confirming that, yeah, like, she was watching her. So fast forward again, they're not speaking again. And this was like the beginning of last year. Our friend is very spiritually inclined. So she's been getting sleep paralysis since she was like 12. So whenever she's dreaming and she's about to have sleep paralysis, like, she knows. And so one night she's falling asleep and she feels it coming. And she's basically like, oh damn, like, here we go with this bullshit again. And that's so real because I feel like that's all of our reaction that gets sleep paralysis. When you feel it coming, like, oh my God. So in the middle of her having sleep paralysis, she's still dreaming, but she's aware that she's asleep. And her phone starts ringing and it's Mentor. It's the girl that's been watching her. And the phone answers itself. And Mentor starts talking, but she can tell that she's taking a bath, a spiritual bath. Like, she can hear the water in the background, and she knows that it's a spiritual bath because Mentor is the one that taught her how to do those baths.
She's like, huh, that's kind of weird. And she looks up, and there's this huge black figure standing over her. And not only is that black figure standing over her, she's also communicating with it telepathically. And because she's not new to this, right? She's encountered spirits like this before. She's talking her shit, you feel me? And she tries to get herself to wake up, and she does. She wakes up, she sits up, and she's like, oh my God, like, whew. And then she gets up, turns around, and sees her body on the bed still. That's when she realizes, she's like, holy shit, I'm astral projecting right now. And that figure is still there. Remember how I told you she was communicating with it like telepathically? And she can hear this being like, haha, you think you're so slick. You thought you was gonna wake yourself up, right? But he didn't know how strong she was spiritually. And so she jumps back into her body. And this makes him very upset. Because I guess he didn't know that she can do that. So he gets mad, tries to dive into her body, and knocks the wind out of her. As soon as that happens, they like teleport to somewhere else. And she said that the place that they teleported to, the best way that she can describe it is like, I don't know if y'all seen like the live action Dr. Seuss movies, like how all the houses are the same. It was exactly like that. And as they're in this place, her and that spirit, like that black figure, are still tussling. And at this point, it takes like the face of a little boy. Not the face, but a form of a little boy. It was like a brown skin, curly hair type little boy, but his eyes were pitch black. And this little boy is choking the fuck out of her. So this little boy has his hands around her throat, choking her. And then he opens his mouth to let his tongue out. And she says it looks just like Venom's tongue. Y'all know the movie Venom? It looks exactly like that. It's long as hell. To stick his tongue, that thing's tongue, down her throat, and she is fighting for her life. As this little boy, y'all, this little boy that's about the same size as her son, is choking her and trying to put his demonic tongue down her throat. And she's praying, like she's trying to pray to her ancestors and all of that because she practices spirituality. And she hears a voice that tell her, you're stronger than him. But she's not feeling very strong at this moment. And so she's like, please just help me. Why can't you guys just help me? And they're like, no, we're not helping you because we know you can get out of this. You need to take your power back. Take your power over him. At that very moment, she grabs his throat. She grabs it with her left hand and then uses her right hand to slap the absolute fuck out of him. And then she slaps him again, but this time with the back of her palm. And I just know that slap came all the way from our ancestors. She starts speaking to him. She's like, you are nothing. You will not get power over me. Whatever you're trying to do, you're not gonna do it. I know that's right. That's what I be telling y'all to do, man. And at that very moment, she jumps out of her bed. Like she jumps out of her sleep and sat up. And she's drenched. Like she's sweating. So you know that fight was real. When she jumps up, like she's trying to like get herself together. And immediately she takes her dream journal and starts writing her dreams down. Like everything that just happened, she starts writing it down. And as she's writing, mind you, she had a bathroom in her room and the bathroom light was on. So, you know, there's still some air in the room. And as she's writing, she looks over to the closet and that same dark figure that was standing over her is in her closet. She immediately ran to the closet and turned on the light and that thing disappeared. And at this point, like, she wasn't even scared anymore. She was just ready to fight. And immediately, well, not immediately, but at least after this experience, she spiritually blocked this girl. Because it always seems to be something whenever they stop talking and she's trying to get back into her life or she wants to know something that's going on with our friend's life. So she spiritually blocks this girl because when it came down to it, all of this was happening because she started gaining followers. Our friend had started to tell her stories and do her little content, and she started gaining followers, and that girl didn't like that. Let me tell y'all something. It's never a stranger, bro. Sometimes it do be a stranger, but most of the time, it's always somebody close to you, bro. Anyways, make sure you guys are following me on Instagram. Submit y'all stories to me on Instagram if you have your own story that you would like for me to tell. Make sure you're following me and send it as a voice message. Make sure you're subscribed to my YouTube channel so you don't miss a podcast episode. And make sure you click that link tree in my bio and vote for me, your girl, if you love me, if you're an OG and you want to see me, see me. Oh, damn, I can't speak. Oh, I got so excited I couldn't even speak. Anyways, go to the link tree. It's going to say vote for your favorite storyteller. Make sure you guys do a free vote for me so I can be at the Caribbean Music Awards. So if you guys want to start seeing your girl on the big screen, go give me a vote. Thank you. Love you. Bye. Be careful with how you reject men. Scary story time. So this is another story of what my godfather experienced while he was in the 80s. This time, this story is not about him. So when he was younger, in the neighborhood that he used to live in, which was in Haiti, there was this man. It was like this old crackhead looking, like, y'all know in the hood, y'all know those men that be at the gas station. He had no teeth. He was really old. He had to be in like, well, not really old, but he had to be in like his 50s or whatever. But he was one of those crackheads that always hits on little girls. All he used to do is walk around the street. Look at that. Walk around the street speaking in vulgar languages, yelling, and hit on little girls, and drink all the time. He would always be drunk and just like play dominoes. You get it. You get it. If you're Caribbean, then you get it. Anyway, so there was also this very young girl. She had to be just about 20. And one time the little girl was going home, minding her business as usual, and the guy was drunk. The old guy, he was drunk, playing dominoes, and he tries to hit on the little girl. So then the little girl embarrasses him. When I tell you, like, embarrassed him, she's like, look at you and look at me. Do the math. Like, be so for real. Be so for real. You mad old, you're drunk, you don't got no teeth, you don't got this, you don't got that. Like, look at you and look at me. Of all the people on this street that you look at, you had the nerve, the audacity to try and hit on me? Me? Anyways, she embarrassed him, and he was super embarrassed, to the point where other people were actually looking at him and telling him, like, bro, come on, bro, be for real. Like, seriously, she's right though. Like, look at you and look at her. Like, be for real. Ooh, and that made him very upset. So he looks at the little girl, and then he looks at everybody else that's laughing at him, and he goes, "Fais-nous respecter gamin," which translates to, "I'm gonna show y'all to respect y'all elders." The little girl's like, whatever. She goes home, and everybody else, they just go on to minding their business. But it doesn't end there. So about a week, or maybe like a couple of weeks later, broad daylight, everyone is coming out of their house because they hear this commotion. It's people arguing. They hear this commotion. And when everybody goes outside to figure out where's the commotion, like what's going on, guess who they see? People arguing. They hear this commotion, and when everybody goes outside to figure out where's the commotion, like what's going on, guess who they see? They see the old man coming out of his house, stretching. He's like, yeah, so everybody can see. And guess who comes in after him? The little girl. And guess what she's saying? Baby, please come back. Don't leave. Come on, come back to bed. We were having such a great time. Come on, please don't leave. Come back to bed. Got him. Y'all have no idea how much this happens. I have heard stories from my mom. I have heard stories from my dad. I have heard stories from my grandma of how much you will find yourself with a man that you would never in your life ever be involved with. And to be quite honest, it doesn't take you disrespecting him. In this story, that's the case. But most of the time, you don't even have to do that. Anyways, back to the story. Everyone is shocked. They're shocked, but they're not. But they're shocked. And they see this, and they're like, wow, he really got hurt. So this goes on for a while. Like a while. They fight every day. He puts his hands on her, and she's begging him to please stay with her. And the longer this goes, the more this girl, she's losing herself. You can vividly tell that that's not even really her anymore. Like the little girl that everybody knew, it's not even her anymore. So word gets around, and her parents, who were living in the were living in the US at the time, heard that this is happening. Ooh, and they said, not ours. They are also two top people that are deep into voodoo, and they are respected, right? So they fly to Haiti, and they go get that little girl.
They couldn't bring her to the US at the time, but they fly to Haiti, they go to that neighborhood, and they take her so fast, and they did whatever, juju they had to do against that thing, against that man, and they took her, and they left with her. They moved her to a whole different neighborhood from where she used to live at. That's how she got saved. Kind of. Eventually, they moved her to the United States, and she currently lives in Florida, same place I live at now. But my godfather says, till this day, she'd never been the same. Although her parents saved her from under the grasp of that man, she was never the same again. Even till this day, speaking to her, you can tell something happened. Like something is off, something is wrong. So, moral of the story is, women can't win. You're nice about it, you get killed. You're rude about it, you get killed. So, there's no winning for us. The best you could do is pray. At least, with me, I'm Christian, so the best you could do is pray. And if you're not Christian, the best you could do is protect yourself. So yeah, the lesson of this story is women don't win. We don't win. You don't have to be rude. Like I said to you before, you don't even have to be rude, and this still happens. You can be the nicest. Oh, I'm so sorry. I have a boyfriend. And then the ego comes into the man and it's like, oh yeah? Well, we'll see about that. Moral of the story is women can't win. Good night.